If you were a 90s kid, it was very likely you were a big fan of the Power Rangers. Debuting in 1993, Power Rangers launched the Fox Kids programming block, generated billions of dollars in toy sales, and gave Haim Saban the first of many private islands. So how does a brand generate this kind of capital in such a short time span? The American way, of course, by letting someone else do half of the work and doing your part super cheaply. In the least surprising factoid that people still may not know, the first Power Rangers is an adaptation from Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger from the Super Sentai series, which is a yearly show in the tokusatsu genre, which I believe translates to putting children in danger. Live explosives, scary monsters, dangerous situations, no child is left behind from the complete madness that ensues on seemingly every episode. We are going to go over episode 1, The Birth, and if this single episode is any indication what this series has in store for the viewer, this show should have been rated TV. Oh my god, this was for kids? And in case you are wondering, no, I am not making anything up. Everything I'm about to go over happens. Don't believe me? Everything of this series is available to stream online for free at shoutfactorytv.com, so you can watch the episode right along with this podcast. The show starts with Jeff Goldblum. What the hell? Before any theme song, before any exposition, you get hit with a realistic dinosaur face looking for its next meal. This is the exact view a prehistoric mammal had before being swallowed. And this happens every single episode, complete with horrific Dinosaur Roar sound cue. You know, imagine being a parent, you let your kid watch some TV on the weekend, and then all of a sudden, a giant reptile sends your kids screaming from the room, and nobody knew it was coming. Now, you have to explain the fact that the dinosaur was a good guy, which is just a bold-faced lie. One look at that face, and you know it's going for your soul. But the weird thing is, right after a series of terrifying robot dinosaur heads, it goes into the cheesiest theme song possible. I guess it's trying to be brave and hopeful, mixing in these fantasy elements at the same time. But it just comes off as corny and lame. Barney the dinosaur wouldn't use this song as a ringtone. You could ask a performer at the Renaissance Fair to perform this song, but he would just go, "Look, I know I'm wearing tights and playing a lute. I have some self-respect." It's just a strange choice to go with a song that makes you think, wow, I can beat this entire group of heroes myself. The episode begins with the news that planet Nemesis is in Earth's orbit for the first time in centuries. Scientists put together a crew of astronauts to investigate, which include 2 7-year-olds for some reason. This seems like one of those situations where really smart people don't realize what a bad idea is. First, you have to go through an insane amount of testing, just to see if you can even make it out of the atmosphere. Something tells me these kids couldn't make it past the first 0G test. Plus, you gotta feed them, and there's no way an elementary school kid could even handle dehydrated anything. Plus, I've been on vacations as a kid. I could barely handle a car trip to Disney World. To act like these kids could even stand a months-long expedition to a really ominous planet that doesn't have a theme park is a writer who doesn't have kids. At all. So the real astronauts start exploring the planet, which is basically nothing but sand and false hope. The first and only thing they find is a strange sewer cover surrounded with spikes and topped with jewels, to which they immediately react like toddlers seeing something shiny. But the only person who's worried about this is a strange old man back on Earth, telling no one in particular to not open the hatch. But how did he hear what's happening on an entirely different planet? By growing the ear of what seems to be an entirely different species. Either that or Spock got obese and diseased and they had to cut his ear off. I know that there are sayings about if a guy has big hands or big feet, wink wink. That just doesn't work for big ears. The only saying for that situation is, if a guy has big ears, can the doctor do anything about it, or can he drain it? Something? Nothing? The astronauts immediately pop the top of the surface boil, which I understand. When your boss sends you to the completely barren planet that sounds really evil, coming back empty-handed is a lot of resources down the drain. Unfortunately, they immediately released our series antagonist, the evil witch Bandora, aka Rita Repulsa for you Americans. Honestly, it's kind of a weird reveal. Her personal style is a mixture of a Tusken Raider from Star Wars and early 90s Madonna, complete with cone bra. To thank the astronauts for freeing her and her cronies, she immediately force pushes them into outer space. With the only form of authority now in the vacuum of space, there's nothing stopping her to take revenge on planet Earth. Let's face it, it probably deserves it. She flies back to Earth and, using her magic powers, starts wrecking chaos all over the city. And in a crazy display of power, she takes an entire skyscraper into space and then places it back down, carrying her evil base directly on top of it. Okay, this is less magician and more deity than anything else. The townsfolk seeing this will just start worshipping her immediately. Here's a warlock that's millions of years old, flying around the city, a complete monster crew following her every whim, lifting and moving entire city blocks around like children's toys. Something tells me diplomacy just isn't gonna work somehow. While flying around, Bandora makes contact with our strange old man from earlier in the day. But he is no ordinary strange old man. One turn and he becomes wise sage Barza. He uses the last of his magic powers to... I'm sorry to break away from the script like this, but oh my goodness, to this poor old man. He looks like he was attacked by the Children's Television Workshop. It looks like he lost a bet in Elmo's world. The guy can barely walk as it is. His dramatic turn into this transformation was just him barely spinning 180 degrees. And it's not like he had a cape to flip around or anything like that. I bet the ad posting for this role said something like, looking for older gentlemen to play powerful and wise sage. And then you walk into that costume. Here's a fun piece of info. We're only 7 minutes into this episode. Bandora has captured the children in the shuttle and sets up an elaborate plan to crush the children within an hour, all of which is done off-screen. For someone with a crazy amount of powers, to have the ego and poor planning skills of a James Bond villain is understood, but still. She only has one magic spell, and it's explosions. She has no problem pushing people into space, and yet when it comes to the kids, we're going to go full ticking clock syndrome, just to give them a chance. Thankfully, Barza always has a backup plan when 170 million year old adversaries come back and start wreaking havoc on his home planet. He heads back into his condo, gets into his secret elevator to complete paradise. What rewards program do I have to join to have a private vista in my name? Why would you even visit the surface if you have a place like this? Hell, I'd be drinking Mai Tais all day. Did the dinosaurs have Mai Tais? I hope they had Mai Tais. Because they knew Bandora would come back someday, they locked away 5 warriors from different tribes to be prepared. Barza unlocks 4 of the doors with keys that look like they came right out of a Zelda dungeon. We're lucky he didn't lose them somewhere in his townhouse. Heck, I put my keys in the wrong drawer and I think they're gone. The Rangers are freed from their General Zod prisms and they are ready to fight. Barza goes to unlock the Red Ranger's door and the key breaks immediately. Talk about you got one job. I know it's a minor miracle that the keys didn't turn into rust after 170 million years, but come on. You just did the same thing 4 times in a row. Did the door handle surprise you the 5th time? It's been 170 million years. You can find time to practice unlocking things. Barza sends the 4 Rangers to save the kids while he reflects on the fact he probably should have unlocked the leader of the group first. So the heroic warriors from the era of the dinosaurs bravely enter battle against the forces of evil on super awesome dinosaur-themed motorcycles. Yes, this does raise a lot of questions. How do these prehistoric fighters know how to ride a motorcycle? Were motorcycles around in their time? Where were these motorcycles kept? Why are they already shaped like the giant robots we won't even see until episode 4? How come they are just given these bikes without a quest? Do these bikes have any sort of superpowers? The answer is obvious. Because super awesome dino bikes. The 4 warriors, in a complete lack of planning, strategy, and foresight, charge Bandora's makeshift castle. This is exactly what happens when a magician picks a volunteer to join him on stage. They have no idea what's happening, they are made to look like fools, and they immediately get into a fight. At least that's what happens when I'm on stage for a magic show. I still don't know why I'm banned from that casino. The Rangers charge the door and immediately appear on a beach. Don't question it, I don't have answers either. While the Rangers are suspicious of their surroundings, they immediately encounter just the cutest little henchmen ever. There's just something about how bad this effect of these creatures clearly being someone's hand covered in industrial strength Play-Doh just makes it more endearing. While these little guys don't seem to pose too much of an issue, they do have one amazing superpower. Great timing on slapstick comedy. Even bad guys have a sense of humor, especially when it comes to surprise assaults on our supposed heroes. Then, in a moment that is designed to break brains, a giant TV comes out of the ocean while the background turns into a blacklight Van Gogh ripoff, and Bandora attacks everyone. I wish I had answers, people. I really do. Meanwhile, Old Man Barza is doing everything he can to open the door of the missing ranger, including shooting a fully operational cannon at the door. Apparently, someone has never watched MythBusters before. Now, this might just be me, but has anyone else noticed that this entire team is, I don't know, completely useless? Don't get me wrong, I know there's bad luck and first day jitters, but they're acting like they were a SWAT team back in the day. But here, they are just stepping on every rake and thumbtack possible. For example, almost immediately, the entire team gets trapped in a cage and they are being cooked alive by fire like a rotisserie chicken. For being the bravest warriors in their villages, apparently planning and strategy was never a topic of conversation. I mean, when you're getting captured by the equivalent of the board game Mousetrap, you need to get your hero qualifications renewed. At this point in time, even the Dino God spirits have had enough of this incompetence. The Tyrannosaurus statue shoots lasers out of its eyes, blasting the door open, freeing the leader, who basically warps to his allies, all while hitting the audience with another giant dinosaur face. After being saved by an actual hero, we get to the entire point of the show: awesome karate moves. It's basically every mess of a fight scene you've come to know and love from this series. Except on this watching, I forgot how brutal these rangers are, apparently. The Pink Ranger is a sniper and nails arrow shots in the eyes. The Black Ranger is throwing people off of buildings to nothing but complete doom. And the Yellow Ranger just pulls out a laser blaster and starts blowing everyone away. I now take back everything I said about beating up these particular Rangers. After completely dominating all of the bad guys, the Red Ranger sends Pink and Blue to save the children, still stuck on the space shuttle, which they do in the nick of time. However, it brings up a really big question. Namely, what the hell is happening with scale? Literally every single person, monster, building, and lackey have experienced confusing amounts of size disparity. This is like watching the scene from Alice in Wonderland where Alice shrinks down, but in reverse, 5 times in a row, and your head is turned away for a minute. But at least the kids are saved and everything can go back to... Oh, what fresh hell is this? Not only does this make the team 2 for 2 on being punched by surprise, but they immediately fumble the fun-sized kids' meal space shuttle, which is immediately picked up by... King Arthur's crown! You mean to tell me that Pandora waited until the last minute to unleash her giant Nightmare Knight, punch any and all Rangers in the way, re-kidnap the space shuttle playset, and then immediately disappear, basically ensuring a clean getaway until next week's episode? Talk about burying the lead! You then get hit with probably the worst thing in the entire episode, the show's end theme. This theme song makes the Wiggles sound like Pantera. Baby Shark heard this and went, "I'm out, I can't get worse than that." Not only do your ears get assaulted by elevator music on Quaaludes, you're also shown scenes that are attempting to show the characters like goofing around, hopefully distracting you enough that you forget the team completely failed to save the 2 innocent children kidnapped by evil space magicians. Wow, what a 20-minute roller coaster of a show. And this franchise, let alone this show, has been keeping up with this insanity since 1975. And while every piece of weirdness may turn off a normal human being, I love every second of it. Give me giant robots, give me strange comic relief, give me horrifying monsters. I want all of it. And to think that someone watched this and just went, "You know who would love this? Americans." But I am all the more grateful for it.